Hello viewers, welcome to Horror Daily Movies, where the best picks from the latest flicks in the genre of horror will be summarized and reviewed. This video will be about Last Night in Soho. A critically acclaimed horror movie that blends in elements of psychological drama, crime, and surrealism. How an aspiring fashion designer, inspired from the vogue of the swinging 60s, unearths some of the dirtiest secrets of the 60s high life via her lucid dreams. The film stars Thomasin McKenzie in the lead role as Ellie Turner, an aspiring fashion designer who is studying in the London College of Fashion, who also sees apparitions of her mother every once in a while. Sinoff Carlson plays the role of Ellie's rather snobbish roommate, Jocasta. Michael Ajao as Ellie's sympathetic classmate at the London College of Fashion named John. Diana Rigg, who plays the role of Miss Collins, owner of a bedsit where Ellie eventually moves into after feeling like an outsider in her university's dormitory. This was also Rigg's final on-screen appearance as she sadly passed away in 2020. Co-starring in the lead is Golden Globe award-winning actress Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays the role of Sandie, a young blonde damsel who appears in Ellie's dreams. Matt Smith, who is most famously known for portraying the 11th version of Doctor Who in the BBC series of the same name, also appears in Last Night in Soho, playing the role of Jack. Also in supporting roles is Sam Claflin and veteran UK actor Terence as Lindsay, another subject of Ellie's lucid dreams, who she also encounters in real life as a matured man in the pub where she works and where he's commonly referred to as the silver-haired gentleman. Sam plays the younger version of Lindsay, whereas Terence plays the older Lindsay. And also Rita Tushingham, who plays the role of Peggy, Ellie's maternal grandmother who has raised her after her mother's suicide when Ellie was just a child. The film starts off with Ellie, who is living with her maternal grandmother near the parish of Redruth in Cornwall, England. Ellie is in love with 60s music and culture and aspires to be a fashion designer like her mother, who committed suicide when Ellie was just a child. Unbeknownst to many, Ellie sees her mother's apparitions in mirrors. Ellie gets a chance to study in the prestigious London College of Fashion and moves from her grandmother's rural house to London City in order to live in the college dormitory. Though cheerful and energetic, Ellie finds it hard to blend into the crowd, especially with her high-hatted classmate, Jocasta. Ellie does find some solace in John, another classmate who is quite sympathetic towards Ellie's case, befriends her. Feeling like an outsider in the college dormitory, Ellie decides to move out of the dorms and rents a bedsit owned by an old lady who goes by the name of Miss Collins. Her very first night in the bedsit, she has a surreal dream where she's transported back to the 60s era somehow and enters the iconic Café de Paris, located at Coventry Street in London. In the cafe, Ellie notices a young and confident blonde-haired woman named Sandie, and a man named Jack, who appears to be the manager at the cafe, draped in the 60s teddy boy attire. She overhears their chatter and learns that Sandie is inquiring about becoming a singer at the club. Both of these two subjects of Ellie's dreams enter into a relationship. Ellie wakes up the next day and designs a dress inspired by Sandie's look. The series of dreams doesn't stop, and Ellie again has a dream about Sandie. This time, she sees Sandie successfully auditioning as a singer in a Soho nightclub. The audition is arranged by Jack, and post-audition, Ellie sees Sandie coming home to the same bedsit that she's living in. Ellie is unfazed by these visions, and she begins to model herself after Sandie, after the repeated dreams or about apparitions of Sandie. Ellie also gets a job at a local pub where she catches the eye of a silver-haired man who notices the similarities between her and Sandie. Ellie's is further shown Sandie's downfall in her dreams, as she sees Sandie being sold into prostitution by Jack, the manager who claims to love Sandie. Now, apparitions begin to influence Ellie's life the most as she sees spirits that addressed her boldly at a Halloween party. John, who was with her in this party, escorts her back to the bedsit. Ellie again sees a dream about Sandie and sees that Sandie is being murdered by Jack. Ellie becomes motivated to catch Sandie's killer and brings him to justice so that Sandie's soul can finally be free. She suspects the silver-haired man in the pub that she works at to be the killer. She tries to find stories about Sandie in the college library but fails. One day, Ellie musters up enough courage to confront the silver-haired man, who becomes angry at Ellie and storms out of the pub, saying that Alex killed her. The man unfortunately dies after being hit by a taxi as soon as he exits the pub. The owner of the pub informs Ellie that the silver-haired man was actually Lindsay, a Vice Squad officer who tries to get Sandie to leave the underworld of prostitution. Ellie is now disheartened by all of this and decides to leave London. Accompanied by John, she arrives at Miss Collins' bedsit and informs her of the decision. Miss Collins, however, discloses that a detective came about asking the reason behind Sandie's death. In the climax, Miss Collins reveals that she is actually Sandie. The dream of Jack killing Sandie conveys the opposite meaning. She also disclosed and admits her actions of killing Jack and 2 other men who sold her into human trafficking. She dismembered and buried their bodies in the same dormant, and due to Ellie's clairvoyance, she's able to see the events that transpired in the past. Sandie Collins also tells Ellie that she has to keep it a secret and now has to execute Ellie since she now knows the secret. Ellie's tea is also drugged. Ellie is attacked with a knife by Sandie Collins. John attempts to help but is stabbed instead. A burning cigarette in the ashtray of Sandie Collins ignites papers and the fire starts spreading in the house. Ellie hides herself in the room where spirits of Jack and the other pimps beg Ellie to kill Sandie Collins, but Ellie refuses. Sandie Collins also successfully breaks into the room but sees the ghosts of her offenders. Sandie Collins attempts to commit suicide by slitting her own throat, but is stopped by Ellie, who understands that her actions were justified from her point of view. As Sandie, she instructs Ellie to leave the burning bed and sit alongside John, but herself stays inside as Sandie. The film was released in the Venice International Film Festival in September 2021 and to the general public in October of the same year. The film attained critical acclaim for successfully combining elements of horror, psychological drama, and crime along with its cinematography, despite its poor performance in the box office. Did you like the video? If so, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel and check the best horror movie reviews shown on the screen.